Hello, Coach Andrea. How are you today?
Hi, Kohila. I'm well. How are you?
Very, very, very good. Excited to
Yes.
talk to you
Yeah,
about your article. I was
I'm
looking
very
forward
excited too.
to, looking forward to asking. So, those of you who don't know about our magazine, we publish these issues every 2 months. It was called Parenting, Learning, and Living before. Now we changed it to Living, Learning, Living, and Leading because we have expanded to serve all human beings. And we wanted to announce about our Readiness OS as well. And we want to end the trying harder, right, Andrea? We're
Yes,
not trying
that is
harder.
true. I am. I was just fixing a little computer glitch right there, and I am trying harder. Yes.
Okay. So let's relax. I think we need to all relax, right? Because
Yep.
that's otherwise we'll be trying harder. So to relax, I always talk about being here and now. Because if we're not here and now, I can't talk to Andrea. You can't listen to us. So you have to be here and now in order to create anything, right? So most of us think about our past a lot. And when we think about our past, what do we think about most of the time? Help me, Andrea. Coach Andrea, help me. What do we think about in the past?
All
The
the
good stuff?
things that and all the things that we've done wrong. The good
Yeah.
stuff, we think about that, but we do focus a lot on the negative stuff as well.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy, right? The negative
Mm,
outweighs the positive most of the time.
yeah.
So I don't know why it's that, but because it bothers us, right? It pulls us back. It's almost like pulling us into it because sometimes you're not even thinking about it and it just shows up, right? Randomly shows
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So therefore it's pulling us. So then we go in and we think and we think and think. But if we keep thinking, we cannot be here and now. If you're not here and now, you cannot learn, you cannot live, you cannot lead yourself or others. So by spending so much time over here, it is sort of a waste in your daily life if you're going there quite a bit, and if it's fully negative, it's waste of time. So the only thing we can do with the past is just to, take the lessons from it, because that's all that past can give us is the lessons and the experiences. Those become lessons, and then we have to really let that past go, because spending in the past is not going to serve here and now. And then same thing happens about the future too, right, Andrea?
It's very true. A lot of us focus on what needs to happen or what's going to be done, and what if we don't get it done, and it becomes a something that we focus on, but we can't necessarily control it.
Yes. And
Right.
again, we sort of project the past onto it because we have those
We do
experiences
project the past. Yeah.
onto the
Yeah.
future. And we're so worried about the future. So this happens, that happens if it goes bad. So again, we're not letting the future happen to us. We're kind of creating with the past projected onto it. So it's kind of also keeping us so much in the future, but as a hostage of the future.
Yeah.
So the future is available to all of us, and we cannot really create the future. We can wish for it, we can make plans for it, we can walk towards it, but we really have to bless it and release it because it's just available. You cannot
Right.
recreate it using your past experience. So if we let go of the past and if we let go of the future and release it, now we have our hands free. We can really bring it here and now, right? When you're here and now, you can create, you can produce, you can perform, you can take actions. This is the only place those are possible. This is the only place you can learn. I can learn, and Coach Andrea can learn. Every one of us can learn and live in peace and harmony, and also lead ourselves and other people. But here and here, nothing happened. So thank you for coming here and now. Now, to bring ourselves here and now, is there any exercises do you use, Coach Andrea, for yourself to bring yourself now and here?
Yeah. I mean, I actually really like the idea of box breathing. I
Mhm.
think that it sets an intention and sets timing for our airflow and for our system to kind of relax and settle in. So that is definitely something that I prefer to do with clients. Would you like me to
So
lead
what?
that?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So we're going to do a box breathing, and we're going to actually a lot. times box breathing is done in 4s, right? 4 in, hold for 4, out for 4, wait for 4. I'm going to push it to 5 because I want to just see if we can just kind of get that a little extra energy, if that's okay with you. Go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. Love it.
So why don't we start? I would like you to breathe in for 5, hold for 5, out for 5, and we're going to stop for 5. In for 5, hold for 5, out for 5, and stop for 5. One more time. In for 5, hold for 5, out for 5, and relax for 5.
Awesome. Thank you. That was beautiful. Yes, we all breathe, but we don't pay attention to our breath, and we usually don't breathe
Yeah.
like that deep and release
No.
anything
Yeah.
from it. Like when you go and hold the bottom hold you did, that was great.
Mhm.
When you
Yeah,
release.
I find that helps, like, kind of just stabilize that breath. It kind of reassures that breath. There's something about it rather than, I feel like sometimes if you go, 4, 4, 4, and then 4 again, and don't have that holding spot, um,
Yes.
your system isn't able to come down and stabilize the way that, it's nice to have it done.
And also it ground me. I actually was like putting my feet down more. Like I
Yeah.
pressed into it because I had to hold, right? When you hold, you have to
Yeah.
press. So
Yeah,
I was
you do.
doing,
You have to press on your feet.
yeah, I don't know why, but I thought I was driving or something. I don't know, but I pressed hard on my feet so that it gave me more grounding. So it probably
Yes.
that as well, right? Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming today because I know you contributed an article to our magazine, and I wanted to
Good.
bring you and ask you some questions about it and share
Sure.
how it was for you to share that story in the magazine. So when you first realized something was off in how you were moving through opportunities, what did that feel like in your body?
It felt like I was standing in cement or quicksand and couldn't move, or like a
Mm,
glue and I couldn't move.
mm,
And intuitively, I knew that wasn't the right feeling I should have, but I I would be presented, maybe even with an opportunity, or maybe, I can go do this education or something, and I would get very excited about it. Yes, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm doing. This is for me. And then I would allow a block to come in that just stuck me in glue and did not allow me to move forward. And um, yeah, that particular feeling happened quite a bit, even from my childhood on.
mm,
So, it wasn't until, in the last 5 years that I actually realized that it wasn't it wasn't productive, it wasn't healthy. It was maybe keeping me safe in my protective area, but it wasn't allowing me to move.
yes.
And so, yeah.
Now, as a holistic neurogrowth success coach, how do you deal with that now?
Yeah, so I allow myself to actually pause. So, through learning the blocks to flow method and learning Readiness OS, I've allowed myself to take pause and do a bit more reflection and really understand, is it just my historical pattern happening right now that's stopping me from moving forward? Or is it something else? And if it is that pattern that where I stick myself in the glue and in the cement, um, I I work through it. I give myself permission now to face any fears there may be around that. I give myself permission to just take even the tiniest step out. I write about it. I journal. I do journal. Um, I do a lot of self-talk. So I talk to myself. I'm working on, you know, I change those neural pathways, and so it's just baby steps. So it really is. And when I feel like I'm at a stance where, ooh, that's just a tad bit far from me, I stop. I allow myself to just be. I don't push. And I think that that's really one of the key aspects to this, in being ready to be able um, to move into maybe that next realm, or that next step, or that next employment opportunity, whatever it might be. Right.
Yes. So used to be you would push. Used to be you would push.
I would push, and I would push, but I always stopped at some point.
Mhm.
I always stopped at
Or
some
would you
point.
stop before
I
that feeling, being in the mud, being in this quicksand feeling, or only when you got there?
I feel like there were a couple of times when I actually would stop before. I mean, I
Mm.
can't be super specific because, like I said, it's been going, it was going on for quite a while.
Yes.
Um, but I think it was really when I got to the quicksand, to the mud, to the cement, the glue. However, it could be a number of different things, right? My feet were planted and they were not moving. Um,
Mm.
my body wanted to go like this, but
Mm.
I couldn't do it. It didn't, my mind wanted to do that as well, right? Because but if I'm showing how it felt in my body, because of my mind, wanted to do this, but I couldn't do it. And so being able to understand what was happening was really, again, going back to that pattern that was happening, was really important to understanding how to move into a state of readiness where I could take that step out of the cement.
And
Yeah,
you
I
said
would.
it wasn't just one moment, right? It wasn't just a one moment. You said this became the way of thinking.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it did. It did. It was the way of thinking, and I think that, I know I'm not alone in this. I know that
Of course.
this idea of fear of, I guess, failure, and of kind of being perfect, and what things need to look like, uh, kind of going back and saying, this is what my future is going to look like, and this is exactly how it's going to go, and this is what's going to happen, and if I don't make this happen, I failed in some format, some way, shape, or form. um, and yeah, I think, I can remember kind of going there in my head, even in my elementary school years.
Mm.
And then it just, progressed. And on the outside, it always looked like everything was okay. Always, right? It always looked like, I'm moving forward. I'm getting my college education. I'm going and doing this, and I'm working up the corporate ladder when I was in the business world. And then, I'm doing this as a teacher, and I'm succeeding in this realm. And next thing you know, I'm teaching at the, community college level. It always looked good on paper, but it
Yes.
didn't always. It felt sometimes like going through the motions of, and pushing myself, kind of what you were saying.
Yes.
But there was always a stop. There was always a cement stop.
Mhm.
Always. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing. No, you're not alone. I mean, a lot of us paralyze ourselves by
Yes.
thinking,
Yeah.
overthinking, or fear, or full of fear thinking, fearful thinking, right? Like we just talked
Yeah.
about projecting the past into the future. I mean, everything is based on fear of something that happened to me, could be a way of being stuck like that, right? So I love
Yeah.
those analogies. Quicksand is a good way to explain that as well. Like you just cannot move out of it. And then cement, being stuck inside a
Mhm.
cement is hardening, as you said. And then the last one was what? Third one? You said another one?
There was glue.
Glue. Okay,
Glue.
glue.
So I feel like the cement is more solidifying, like I'm stuck there. And the glue is kind of like I'm stuck, but I'm trying to move.
Get out. Yeah, it's
And
sticking.
so, and I'm get out and stuff like that. So I kind of have
You're fighting. In the glue, you're fighting.
identified. Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's interesting because I have, you know, people I know and people I socialize with or that I work with, they'll say, you know, I feel like they think that we as coaches come as like um, people who have never had any problems with ourselves or have never had any blocks of our own to face. And I've come across a few people who said, yeah, but you know, you're a coach, you this, and this, it's your, you know, and like, yeah, it doesn't quite work like that. Right. We still, we all have, our stuff to work on, right? We all have these blocks to get into a readiness state to work on. We really do. And
That's what
just
makes you a great coach.
acknowledging, sorry?
That's what makes you a great coach, because you've gone through stuff like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it makes it
Yeah.
people
And
connect with them in a very special way, because you'll understand. You don't even need to say words. You can just sync with your nervous system, because the pulses will sync together in that way of feeling with the other person, because
yeah,
you have felt that way, right? It's different.
we
Powerful.
can definitely pick up on that. And there's definitely an intuitive experience that happens there in connection. And then going back to this idea that, you know, whatever's happening in the room, all those energies are working off of each other, right? And picking up on everything. So yeah, it's you know, it's something that I as a coach continue and will continue to work on. And
Yeah.
I do what I can with my clients to help them through those muddy times and that cement and the glue that happens for them as well.
The first step is awareness. The minute you have
It
awareness, the minute
absolutely,
you see it, you can't unsee it. You know what I mean? You just see it all
yep,
the time in you, and you pick up pattern like this,
you
and you're
can
like,
pick
oh,
it up,
here I go again, or here I see again, here's me again, right? So it's like that awareness, right? It's so big. And people
it's
think like
really
there has to be a hack or a strategy to
right,
work on ourselves.
right.
But the first step is just learning to notice, just learning to
Absolutely
notice.
is. It 100% is. 100% is. I used to, you know, I went through a coaching course. This was a coaching course a long time ago that I took when I was in the business world. And there was a book that I hope I get his name right. Rick Carlson. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He wrote a book called Taming the Gremlin. And
Okay.
it was a book that we had to read. And so these voices, these fears, these things that, you know, they sit there on your shoulders and they say what you can't do, why you're going to be stuck, why you're not going to be able to push through and move forward, why you're not ready for this, why you're this. And I always think of that. And I've thought about it since, oh gosh, maybe 20 years ago when I took this course. um, I always think about these gremlins that sit there. And so when I'm talking about like kind of reframing how I talk to myself, I'm also talking, and everyone's probably gonna think I'm crazy now. I'm also talking to those gremlins and saying, you're not taking control of this. My mind's taking control of this. I'm doing this now.
Yeah, that's our
And
talk to your brain, right? Talk to your
talk
brain.
to your brain. Yeah.
Yep. The more that you dissociate from your brain and can talk like there's another person in front of you, the more you get control of it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's a powerful way to control your brain. But
It
because
is.
your
Yeah.
brain thinks it's controlling you, but you then show who's the boss. I'm the boss.
Yeah.
I tell you what to do. No, you don't tell me what to do.
Right.
Let's go.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you what to do. So I have another question for you. So at that time, if somebody asked you, "Do you believe in yourself?" What would you have said?
With condition.
Hmm.
I believed in myself, but with condition.
Hmm.
I
How would
believed in
you?
myself in the aspect of this box that I was in.
Creative. Yeah.
I believed in that, and I could do with what was in that. But the moment I was thinking of stepping out of it, I didn't believe in myself enough. So I stuck myself there, back to kind of the cement and the glue. I stuck myself in that box. So I think, within that, yeah, I believed in myself, right? Did I believe in myself uh, to do well, to be a successful product manager when I was in the business world? I absolutely did. But anything outside of that was not there, right? Did I believe in myself to sit in a classroom and teach literacy skills? I did. Did I believe in myself to be a teacher? I did. But not, but thinking bigger than that, right? Thinking, going
All
outside of the
role based.
box of that.
Yeah, it's all
Sorry?
like role. It's all like goal based or role based.
Yeah.
You took a role and
All,
you based it
mhm.
around that. Is you're confident and you have a vision for it.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it was for me. Yeah.
So looking back now, what was actually costing you doing this to yourself? What was the cost?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I think I would possibly be in a different place. Um, I probably think I would have gone with what I love and that is true to my heart a lot sooner, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. I absolutely would have. I mean, look, I took a coaching class 20 years ago and then went, nope, can't do that. So, and then I also think it has caused stress. I mean, it really has. It causes stress, right? Because you feel like maybe there's something missing. There's something you've been stopped from doing. You've stopped yourself. So what am I missing out on? I can't go there. I'm fearful of going there, but now what am I missing out on? Right? So there's stress involved in that. I'm not going to lie, it took a toll on my body as well, right? So I unfortunately suffer from an autoimmune disease, and um, I saw I saw it come out of remission multiple times, and yeah, it takes a toll on a lot of things, right? Stress, your mental stress, what's happening here, your shoulders, you can feel it in your body. The autoimmune situation, it takes a toll,
Yes.
and yeah,
And
that's what it is.
also anxiety, right? It feels
Yeah,
anxious all the time.
yeah,
That's why.
yeah.
And
It
we,
feels anxious.
yeah.
Hmm.
So you said you practice mindfulness, meditation, breathing. They helped, but they didn't change the deeper pattern. So what is missing? What was
I
missing? Sorry.
it was like having a cake and putting and not finishing the cake, right? The cake's not fully baked, and then putting the icing on top and pretending that everything looks perfect. It looks great on the outside, but the cake's still unbaked.
Mm.
And I feel like like I was, meditation and breathing and mindfulness, and I think that is all fabulous, and I employ people to do that on a
You
regular
started
basis,
with breathing
and
just
I
now.
do. We started
Well,
with,
you started with breathing just now.
yeah,
So
exactly. But it's like if you have that, and that's wonderful, you also got to see what's happening in the layers below.
yes.
Are they cooked? Is it just a bunch of, like soft stuff on the inside, right? So what was happening is that my cake was not fully cooked. And so I could do all of this prep work. I could do all of this work, but my system wasn't ready. My system
Mm.
wasn't ready until I really went back and said, what's the underlying pattern that's happening? And why is that happening? And let me address that. Then as I'm addressing that, I'm going to add in the meditation. I'm going to add in the mindfulness, right? I'm going to add in the breathing and that type of stuff. But again, I'm not belittling those types of practices, because they're super important. They're very, very important for regulating our nervous system. And absolutely, even if somebody has not, done the internal work to finish. I hate to say this, I'm using a really weird metaphor here, baking the cake or analogy.
Well, I'm
Um,
just loving all the analogies that are coming through.
I'm just coming up. I'm just making them.
I'm going to track these analogies.
Okay.
So far,
So,
4. Counting 4.
okay. Okay, good. Because I don't remember everything I'm saying right now. But I feel like something is better than nothing. And it's it's like with my kids. I'll always say, breathe, do some mindfulness, maybe listen to Calm, right? I'm not giving an advertisement for them, but listen to something that has some sort of calming effect.
But the
But
thing
the
is, they're all good. They're all good,
yeah.
as you said. If the underneath there's a current moving within our body and within ourselves and within our mind, there's undercurrent happening. All of this
Right.
cannot be sustained. So what happens is we'll
Yeah.
do it for 2 days and we feel like, oh, that didn't help me. It won't help to
Right.
the effect that it should. So then we quit. That's why we give up
No,
so
because it's
quickly.
not gonna. Yeah,
Right. Like I don't think I'm
icing's not gonna finish baking the cake.
yeah.
It's not gonna finish baking the cake.
Yeah. So I'm going to say to myself, I'm not a meditative kind of person. I don't like meditation. I don't really like the breathing stuff. It doesn't really work on me. And how many people say that, right? But it does work
A
when you do it
lot.
at the right time, when you're in
Correct.
acceleration, not when you're blocked, when you're not aligned, when you're not in activated state. If you do it, those are the places that it becomes even more of a block and you feel like it's not helping me. But if you do it in the right time, they're very
Right.
powerful. They're powerful.
And
But even if you don't do anything and you do something, it's also helpful, right? That's why it helps. Like if I could take deep breaths,
yeah,
I will feel less anxious. If I'm suffering from anxiety, just taking some deep breaths will help me. But would it get rid of it? No, because we haven't looked at what's the undercurrent problem that's happening
yeah,
for us.
exactly. And I always will I'll tell clients, I'll tell people, you like if it comes down to anything and you're in kind of a split second of I've got to help regulate my nervous system, 100% I'll say do the box breathing, or I'll put a tapping exercise, something that will just bring immediate attention to the here and now, which is, but that doesn't take the place of of getting yourself fully ready, right? It doesn't just necessarily, it's not going to be a something that lasts. It's going to be a quick, this will help in the moment, but it's not something that's going to generate a lasting change. The change is deeper than that, and it's got to come into getting our systems ready, which is
Yeah,
really,
we
really
have to go
important.
back to what ingredients did I use too much here so that the cake's not baking, and what's going on with
Right,
how did I
right.
mix? What's the temperature going on? All of those things we got to check out.
Exactly,
So we got to get the
exactly.
cake baking because otherwise it's not going to taste good. We can have the prettiest icing on top. There's
You
nothing
could
to do.
have it could even look like a perfect cake, and that's what I was kinda going back with the analogy that, everything can look great on the outside, but once you cut it just spills all
Chocolate.
over the place because 'cause you've added too much, butter or moisture in some manner,
Mhm,
it's
exactly.
that's what ends up happening, unfortunately.
Yes. So what is the difference between calming yourself and becoming ready?
Well, I think calming yourself is kind of going back to those instantaneous times when like what we were just talking about,
Yes.
things that I'll say, if you feel like anxiety is coming on, or you feel nervous about something, or you're starting to build up anger, right? Um, or you can feel, you can feel that fire blowing up inside of you. Doing something to calm yourself is really, really important. And again, it goes back to, there's all different things that can be done. And then readiness is something that is needed for lifelong. It is something not that's just for the moment. It's something that has to be built upon, and needs to have an understanding. And you can calm yourself down, and I think that there's aspects of that. But again, like I said, I feel like that's kind of more the icing on the cake. The calm might help. It's going to work. And during, Readiness OS, we're working on mechanisms to keep calm, but
Yes.
also trying to dive into what's really happening, right? What's going on? That's what, again, back to those patterns. What's happening that's going to
Yes.
that can make a change, so that we can almost be in a state of calm, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to always feel like we're just constantly calming ourselves down.
Yeah. And
So,
at
and
the
readiness
calm
allows
state,
that to come in.
yeah, after the calm state, you can always start to notice, like you said, the pattern. Start noticing the pattern. Why is this repeating? What's going on?
Right.
Why am I in this space again and again and again? So there's always a pattern that's going to drive that anxiety, or wherever you're being off, right? You're going offline
Yeah.
or getting elevated. So there's something else going on underneath. So if you could become aware, as we talked about earlier, that awareness is a huge part of
Yeah.
everything in
Yeah.
life, right?
Awareness is, that's, I think, the most, well, I don't think it is the most fundamental
Yeah, repeating.
aspect of what we do, in
Yeah,
our program as well. And it's absolutely essential. You can't there without awareness. There's nowhere to go. There has to be awareness first.
and if you don't have personal awareness, you're going to deny it. Somebody else cannot be aware for you. Like I
Sure.
cannot say, Andrea, I think I'm noticing this about you. That will become something I'm saying. It's not that type of awareness. It's self-awareness. It has to be 100% self-awareness. Like I need to study my own self. I need to notice myself. I need to notice my shifts that I'm going through, right? So it's not like that's why somebody else tells us that. We'll be like, no, I don't think so, right? Like most of the time we'll start on the
Yeah.
defense side of it.
Well,
But
it's yeah. And it's what the interesting thing is I kind of assimilate that to um, somebody has an addiction, let's just say, and they want to get rid of the addiction. Well, it doesn't matter what I say or you say, Kohila. They're not changing that addiction until they truly acknowledge it and say, okay, I have to change this. I have to be more aware of how this is affecting me and what's happening. And, it's very, very key, because everyone around you can say a million things to you, but it has to come from within. It
yes,
absolutely does. Because if it doesn't, you don't know what to change or how to change it.
yes. So if
Not going to
someone's
change.
watching who thinks I just need more discipline, what would you say to them?
They just need more discipline in life. Is
Yeah,
that what you mean?
yeah. If for someone's watching us right now who thinks I just need to be more disciplined in life, what would you say to them?
I would say, well, you really can't add discipline on top of something that's not whole, and not
Dysregulated or disconnected
yeah,
in your
dysregulated. There's no way to add discipline to that, because you
you
can,
not
but
anything. Anything.
it's not gonna change. I think this comes down to, are you looking for a long-term change, and you want something that moves you forward? And whether that's, you're a student and you want this for your child, and they're struggling with learning, or you're a parent and you're struggling with them in the household, or even if you're just an adult and you're trying to make things work and get it figured out. There's you can have all the discipline in the world. I had all the discipline in the world. I had on paper, my disciplines look perfect, right? But it wasn't until I was willing to accept the 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 patterns that were happening that I was able then to change them and make it more of a lifelong type of thing, and actually allow myself to get out of that constant pattern of failure or fear of doing this. And so it's just that would just be adding a cherry on top of the cake that is not baked.
Yes,
I think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. So, how do you know when something is a regulation tool versus a real pattern work?
Um,
Because we talked about a
I mean,
lot
I
of
think,
patterns right now, right? We talked about pattern, right? The loops. The
yeah,
loop
and
work.
I think, I think that, well, first of all, when it comes to each individual, there's different work to be done on patterns, right? So, but I think that if I get onto a call or if I'm sitting with somebody and I can feel the energy coming in, that and most of the time it's not just that feeling. I can see their body language, right? I can hear it through their voice. I can tell by what they're saying. And I think understanding why that's happening is really, really important. You can't, and to pick up on that, and go through that is pretty intense work. And so I'm losing my train of thought here, Kohela, sorry.
No, that's okay. So the pattern work,
Yeah.
definitely, the regulation tools should come after the pattern was
Yes,
pattern
they
broken,
absolutely come after. So
because
again,
order
if you
matters.
talk about you want to talk about the meditation and the breathing and all of that, that is the this kind of outside work that happens once the pattern work is really done.
So
But
that's kind of
once
what we talk about all the time, right? With parents and everyone looking for the next tool or the next strategy, the order matters. Like that's why we can't be consistent. Like a lot of the time we lose our consistency as human being because we tried to do it on top of an unbaked cake, putting the icing like you just mentioned, right? So when we start doing that and we don't really get the results that we were hoping to, we then think that that tool didn't work or that strategy didn't work, but it's
right,
just applied in the wrong order. The order is not right yet. The
right,
cake has to be baked and it has to be cooled before we can
right,
put the icing on.
right, right.
If it's not baked and if it's not cooled and we're putting icing on, then we're not doing it in the right order, right? The order of problem.
Well, no,
So
and it's
that's
just going to fall apart.
yeah. So the readiness is like that. If there's something going on underneath it and it's not stable enough, and you add any tools and regulation tools, they're just not going to work at some point,
Yeah,
and you're going to lose interest in them, and you're going to be
yeah,
back at the same place.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
And the
discipline.
pattern, somebody might say, oh, well, what pattern work do I need to work on? I think that's where I was kind of going with it, was
Mm.
it's all individual, right? There's
Oh,
just because I have certain pattern work that I've worked on, it doesn't mean that my neighbor down the street is going to have the same pattern work to work on. It's very much individualized to figure out and get to the bottom and have this awareness around what is going on for you as an individual. And I think that's really important, because there's a lot of stuff out there that is very generic in nature, and doesn't really get to the bottom of each person's individual patterns that need to be worked on and what's happening.
a lot of the time patterns are like equations. We
Mhm.
each of us have different variables that we equate together to form an fact about our experience in life, right? So those
Very
equations are
true.
like so intertwined and tangled. So
Yeah.
you look at like everyone's, it's like a DNA. It's like your equation for something, like let's say I need to be more disciplined, was something you were working on, a pattern like that, right? the way that you would have put variables together to form that equation is different than what I would have formed for my discipline equation. Because
Right.
it would come from my family, it would come from my parents, it would come from my early years, it would come from my teachers that I got exposed to. All of that would
Mhm.
create a unique equation, and that would be tangled so much. And then if you look at it, then you have to untangle all of it to take
Yes.
apart that loop and the pattern that I
Yes.
created. And you created your own, and every
Yeah.
one of them their own, just like our
Yeah.
DNA.
Yeah. And it takes time. It takes time because it's complex. Right? We have 12 different systems that we work with. And so it can be very complex and take time, but it's very, very rewarding,
So
to
what
come
did
out on the
you
other
have
end.
to unlearn? What did you have to unlearn? The biggest thing that you unlearned?
Oh, was the biggest thing I unlearned was
Yes.
my pattern ended up being perfectionism. And
Mm.
so I really had to unlearn uh, perfectionism was really a big one for me, and that stems from childhood. I have beautiful parents, wonderful parents, but they're one's a dentist and one's a pharmacist, and the rest of the family are very, very highly educated as well. And so I had very even though they allowed me to be myself, they encouraged me to take risks and to conquer fears. There was never that with academics. So
Mm.
academics were always, picture perfect. And so what happened is I took those academics and how I was, felt I needed to do, or felt I needed to do absolutely to prove myself. And then I started applying that into other areas of my life, unfortunately. And so that really was what I have had to unlearn the most.
And then your
Absolutely.
analogies all make sense for being perfectionist, getting
Yeah.
stuck in the mud or stuck in the quicksand, glue, because all of that, if you cannot move until you're perfect in all aspects.
No, no. It's gotta fit like into a perfect little puzzle. And if it doesn't, you aren't supposed to move forward, right? Figure out that puzzle first. And I mean, I can't say that it hit like every little detail of my life, but really the big points of my life. It showed up. It showed up in my college education. It showed up in my work environment. It's showing up as a teacher. It's showing up.
What about with your kids? What about with your kids in your personal life?
So yeah, so it has shown up with my kids, but not the same exact way.
Extent.
Yeah, so I was very cognizant of not allowing it to go in that same direction. Of course, I am like, try and get good grades, you want to be successful in life, you want to find out what you want to do, that type of thing. I think it's definitely come out in other ways in my household, um, but not, yeah, I'm not, and maybe they would say different. It would be interesting to ask them. I actually have never really even asked them. I do know that I have done a few things different in that way, but yeah,
We should have some live with the mom and the child. I mean, I could bring my son too, and he would say, "Yeah,
right.
he would
Yeah,
just throw me
I'm
under
sure.
the bus probably about, yeah, you always did this, you always did that."
I'm sure that they would have a different story than I'm saying right now. I'm
Yeah,
positive they would,
I
and
my
that's
son would
yeah,
too.
yeah. Here I am thinking this way, but it really went a different way. Yeah, I know. I definitely think, one thing that happened while my boys were quite young was I lost my husband.
Hmm.
And I ironically think that was actually the start of my journey into becoming more aware about this. I
Mhm.
wasn't at a point where I felt like I could move myself out of it, or I still felt myself getting stuck periodically. But I did something after he passed away that not a lot of people would do, and that's I moved to a whole different country with my children, a year after, away from my family, closer to
Mm,
his family, but away from my family, and people thought, "Wow, you're crazy. How are you doing that?" And so
mhm,
I think there were signs, and I was able to get through, and I was able to say, "You know what? I'm not allowing this to stick me right here. I'm going to go and do what I think I need next," and that is I'd like to be with around his have the boys around his family for a little bit. And so I think that was kind of the start of it for me.
beautiful.
And yeah, I think that's where it really kind of started. And I've just taken baby steps up until, and then about 5 years ago, I was like, yeah, I'm not taking any more baby steps.
Love it. Love it. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. So, how do you define readiness? What's your definition?
I actually feel like readiness for me is a feeling of safety inside my body. I feel like readiness for me is feeling like going back to the cement, I can take that little step and I'm safe. It doesn't
Mm,
matter. It doesn't matter what it looks like when I take that step. I could fail. I could I could do fabulous. It doesn't matter. But I have come to a point and a place where I feel safe enough to move. To move
that's
forward. And I think
beautiful.
that that's really, really key, especially in today's world. It's tough out there.
Yeah.
People feeling
And
safe and
like that's telling you that you have no self trust. There's a
self-trust.
trust. Yeah, safety and trust. Yeah, beautiful. So,
Yeah.
how do we know when readiness is present? I guess kind of answered that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you start to see, kind of those the desire for baby steps and to see, how is the pattern repeating itself, and have I been able to even break it just a tad? And and once we get to that point and we help solidify that, now it it ebbs and flows. There's
Of
no
course.
this is going to be exactly how it is for the rest of your life. Uh, I think once we get there, and you could start to feel, people start to feel safe with that little baby step out of the pattern. I think that's when we realize that's kind of the start of being ready and being in a state of readiness.
Yes. And how do we know? How does it feel in your body? I guess I explained that too. Like it's safe. You feel safe in your body, right?
Safe,
Feel
it's
safe.
safe. I feel good. I don't feel like something is like I'm hitting a wall, right? Because every time I step in that cement or that glue or whatever it was, I felt like
And
it was always
quicksand.
what was that?
I'm telling
What
you the other analogy. Quicksand.
quicksand.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. See, I didn't even once I felt like I was hitting a wall, right? And
Mm,
and and even though it was my feet stuck, I still felt like there was a wall there. And I feel like it feels like there's not a wall. That's the
yes.
biggest feeling, I think, is there's no wall.
Oh yeah, you
There's
have been talking
no
about the box too, right? Is there a box still?
yeah,
Because you talked about
yeah,
that
there's a
box.
box. There's a box, right? And I can go past the wall of the box and it's okay. And it's okay. It's not scary. Oh, time out. Maybe it's a little scary still, but I can do it and know that I'm going to be okay.
So that
And
safety and security that you're feeling from the readiness part, I think also brought you gave you permission. You're giving yourself permission. It's like there's a lot of
give us
permission on it
permission.
because you're like,
Yep.
I got a wall here, I got a box here, but I'm okay to go over it.
I'm okay
That
to go over it or start pushing the wall out, however you want to look at it, right? So
okay.
for
Yeah,
sure.
beautiful.
I'd like to think of going through it because I feel like walls aren't good.
No, we need to
That's just
demolish
my own
them.
vision.
Yes. So when the old voice shows up today, what do you do differently? Because they don't go
I
away. They're
acknowledge it.
there.
They
They're
don't
there,
go
right?
away.
Yeah.
No, my gremlins are still there. I
Yeah.
acknowledge them and say, I hear you. Is this something I need to be cautious of? Or is this something that's trying to tell me I need to be cautious?
Mm.
And if it's something that I truly need to be cautious of, like I'm putting myself in danger or something like that, that's different, right? But if it's something that's just saying, well, I don't know if you can do it. I don't know if that's safe to do. You might fail at that. That may not work.
Yeah.
I acknowledge it. I will always acknowledge that voice 100%. But then
Yes.
I will talk to myself, write it out in my journal and say, I hear you, but I'm choosing not to listen to you. And there's a big difference in that.
Mhm.
And that's really key. Like I will not, I'll say it. I hear you. Thanks. Don't need that.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Don't want to listen.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, what would the old version of you, if it was still present, what would it be? What would that person be waiting for? If they were still here.
Well, I can tell you right now that that person wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I
Mhm.
wouldn't be, success and life coach. I wouldn't be doing that. I think I would be looking for the next, still in the classroom. I still teach, but I supply teach. We call it supply here, that substitute teach for those
Mhm.
in the US. Um, I I wouldn't I'd be back in the classroom and I would be finding a job that suits me and I would just be doing working with children and working, maybe with young adults and not by any means, I would still I still love working with them, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I
Yeah,
would
because you still would
uh,
have had the box, right? You would have
I would
still had
box.
performed in that box.
And I probably would never have even ventured out to move here. I came to Canada and I was a visitor. I was not a citizen. I was not a
Mhm.
resident. I was nothing. My kids were citizens, dual citizens from birth. But I went out on a limb, and that was probably one of the first times I've ever done anything like that in my life. And like I said, that was probably kind of the first step towards this. I'm not listening to you right now. I hear you. I hear you telling me how it's not going to work for me to move to another country right now, but I'm not listening to you right now.
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, I probably wouldn't even be here.
Yeah. So there was a major change in your life. Right? There was a big change that happened, right, for you. So there was a
Yeah,
moment you made a big decision. But I'm
yeah,
excited. I'm
it was a great,
excited. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm excited for where you're at and how you're, handling. So the article that Coach Andrea wrote is still, this is the magazine that you can access. So I have the link for the magazine where you can find this under this video. Just click that. And I also gave you a password. It's flow, all capital. If you enter that, you will access this for free. And her article is in there. So she shared about her and how she was a perfectionist, and as she said, putting icing on top of unbaked cake, still have lots of work to do, right? It's not ready to be iced. So if you're feeling like that, there's so many articles in this magazine, this issue that will resonate with you. If you're a parent, it will resonate with you. If you're young adult, it would resonate with you. If you have older kids, it will resonate with you because we all need readiness. No matter what age we are, we all need readiness, right? Coach Andrea?
yes, very
Yes.
much so.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful place to be. It's a very, very calm place to be. And then when you start applying any of the tools and strategies, when you're ready, it's going to work and you're going to find results. And that makes life easy to live and enjoyable. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So we launch these, release them every 2 months. So the next one will be in April. But this one is a very important one. We are ending the try harder, push, like just keep pushing life. I mean, it's just so tiring, right? Why do we need to live like that? Life should be enjoyable, not exhausting, not
Yep,
painful.
yep,
It should be pleasure and harmony and enjoyable, not the other way around. But we are, we have created this so we can change it. That's the beautiful part about human being, is we can change anything we create. We have the power. So that's what we're doing. So thank you, Coach Andrea, for being here. So what is, if you want to say one word about
Thank you.
readiness, how does, what would you say readiness is?
I use the word safe because I feel like it's safety. It's safety. I trust in myself to move forward, even if it's a tiny little baby step at a time. I trust. I trust the process. I trust that I'm going to be okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you for joining us on this movement
Thank
to
you.
end human suffering and to serve 1.5 billion humans by 2035. So thank you for joining the
That's
movement.
right.
Yes,
Thank
that is
you.
right.
Thanks, Kahila.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for watching.
Okay.
And I will have one of our another coach tomorrow at this time. So join us and listen, and make sure you access the magazine because it's free. We are giving it for free. So take a
Yes.
look at the magazine. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.